Well, Qantas has admitted to not disclosing the true value of unredeemed flight credits. Jetstar's CEO has confirmed the airline owes $100 million in flight credits on top of the $370 million owed to customers by Qantas. Joining us with more analysis live now is aviation writer for The Australian, Robyn Ironside. Robyn, really appreciate you making the time for us. Thanks so much. Why aren't people using these credits? I understand the expiry deadline is looming at the end of the year. Are customers aware that they have them, do you think?
Well, Qantas says it is going to every effort to make people aware. It's sending emails, it's run full-page ads in The Australian, it's advertising on social media in an effort to encourage people to use them. Why they haven't used them, though, is a thorny question, because we're hearing from a lot of people that it's simply been made too hard. From the very start, it was very much the ball was in the customer's court to try to use these travel credits or to get a refund. They initially faced ridiculous call waiting queues at Qantas call centres. Alan Joyce, the CEO, says those call waiting queues have now been cut to an average of 7 minutes. But nevertheless, people are still having difficulty. And when they go to use travel credits, this has been a big issue that the ACCC is looking into. They get directed to higher airfares than they would if they were paying with cash. So it has been a very problematic issue for the airline.
So is it likely Qantas will need to extend the deadlines on these credits to allow more people to actually use them?
Well, that question was certainly raised in the Senate committee hearing yesterday, and Jetstar CEO Steph Tully said they do need to draw a line in the sand, suggesting that perhaps they won't be extending that deadline. I think as pressure grows, they might reconsider, who knows. We have also heard from Virgin Australia CEO Jane Hurd-Leaker today, who they put the same conditions on their customers, and they hold $400 million in unused travel credits, all of which are also going to expire at the end of the year.
Wow. Okay, so anyone with those credits needs to have a kick up the pants and go and figure out how to use them in the next few months. I did want to ask you while we have you, Robyn, about the Qatar Airways drama that's unfolded in recent weeks. The government's being accused of trying to protect Qantas by preventing Qatar Airways from picking up more routes in and out of Australia. You've obviously looked at this pretty closely. What do you think is the reason behind their decision? We're hearing a number of reasons, but nothing seems to be clear at this point as to what the overriding reason is here.
Well, I think the overriding reason is pretty simple. I mean, Qatar Airways is a competitor to Qantas. They were looking to put more capacity into key markets, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, and that would have put downward pressure on airfares. I think it's pretty simple. Qantas is a partner with Emirates, which also flies through the Middle East to Europe, and I don't think they liked it. So they objected to the federal government. They claimed it would distort the market by doubling the capacity of Qatar at the same time as Emirates was yet to get back to its pre-COVID capacity. So I think it comes down to some pretty simple things, to airfares, which Qantas was quite happy to keep at high levels until the end of this year, and capacity, which has been slow coming back into the market. And as a result of that, airfares have stayed high.
So, Robyn, should the average Aussie punter be outraged by that cheaper airline airfares have been put at risk by that decision? Or do we need to look at the broader picture here and look at the national interest, which keeps being thrown around in this debate?
I think a level of outrage is quite legitimate. I mean, we had one company, Qantas, objecting to this. A range of others were in support, including the government's own departments, Austrade and Tourism Australia, which made submissions in favour of Qatar Airways increasing capacity. The tourism and travel industry, agricultural exporters were all crying out for more international capacity, and the federal government said no. So I think there are some questions still to be asked, and I think it is legitimate to be quite upset about this decision.
I saw that Virgin is saying today that they think airfares could be so much cheaper, to the tune of about 40%. Obviously, Virgin is a competitor of Qantas and we need to look at it through that lens. But, I mean, do you think that's about the right ballpark?
I think that sounds like a probably a very optimistic view, and given that Virgin and Qatar are partners, just like Qantas and Emirates. So I think we certainly have to look at it through that lens. 40% might be a bit drastic, but there's no doubt when an airline comes into a market and increases the number of flights, they're not going to make seats dearer if it wants to sell them. They want to fill those planes. So, of course, airfares are going to be cheaper if they add capacity. So I think that's part of the reason that Qantas was objecting as well.
Robyn Ironside from The Australian, really appreciate you joining us with your analysis. Thanks so much.